So within this video, I'm going to share with you what I believe to be the optimal strategies to try and hit 4k damage within the Apex arenas in Apex Legends. So unlike my other videos, which I generally tend to narrate and have a commentary that I've pre-scripted and that I put over my videos, in this video, it's going to be a pure reaction to my play-by-play as we go through the rounds. So a couple of disclaimers, neither myself nor my teammate who you'll see in this video, Kustiku, actually managed to hit 4k. We were just short of the mark, and one of the main reasons for that is that we were both competing for damage. So the both of us were going neck and neck to try and get as much damage as we could. So that played a big factor in neither of us actually being able to hit 4k. Saying that though, we weren't too far away. It was just short of it. We were just shy. So if you watch till the end, you will see how close we actually managed to get to 4k. So the next thing that I will say is that we actually, during this period, were never intending to try and get 4k. We were just trying to boost and improve our gunplay and our skills with weapon and aiming using only wingmans. So you'll notice throughout this entire video that we are only using the wingman to try and improve and hone in on our skills. So that's another factor that came into play. So the other factor, there's a third factor, and the final one, is that the first two rounds that we had, despite also being able to hit shots, we weren't quite warmed up, and I generally didn't have very good rounds for the first two. But from that point on, I kicked into gear, and I started to play strategically with my team, and we used certain tactics that I'll highlight as we go along that I believe will influence and be able to help you to get that 4k badge. Is there a 4k badge in arenas? Either way, it'll help. So as you can see here, obviously I kind of pushed up a little bit far. I went on a little bit of a flank and I tried to get some pot shots from the side. So at this point, I'm probably underestimating the enemy team, because as a rule, you'll come up against a variation of different teams. Some are very good and some not so good. In this case, this team were actually quite well coordinated. They sat back, they liked to soak pressure, they weren't very aggressive. So we had to kind of re-strategize and change the way that we played to adapt to their playstyle. So you'll see here, both myself, Kusti, and our teammate, Sternpisines, I have no idea how you pronounce that. We all stick together as a collective, and we actually take this right angle. You'll notice that the zone is very central, and therefore, if we want to, we can push back to the other side, or we can hold these angles. So I actually get a very good angle here on this lifeline. I crack her, do very well, but I did not expect for her to push in this instance, and because of that, I happened to get downed, which was unfortunate. So I try and drop down, I hope for the res, but things aren't looking too good. So let me give you an insight into why I think the wingman is a very good gun for this mode. If you're trying to get 4k, generally speaking, you don't want to be using snipers, because you might think, oh, they do a lot of damage though, so therefore I'll get a lot of damage. But they do so much damage in such a short space of time that generally speaking, if you're able to hit your shots with a sniper, you're probably going to down and potentially kill someone in 2 or 3 shots. So if you're wanting to get like high damage games, you want to be using a more consistent weapon. So what I would go to, the weapons that I would recommend, the wingman is great because the wingman is optimal at all ranges. You can use it at distance, you can go kind of in that middle field and kind of take control of the zone, the actual the circle itself, and use that to your advantage. Or you can use it at close range and do flick shots, as you'll see that we do quite a lot in this clip. The other good thing about trying to get 4k with the wingman in this game mode is that you can buy it straight off the bat in round 1, and you can also upgrade it quite a lot as you go along. So as you see, I already have the blue extended mag. I use the 2x scope, which is great for getting that initial poke damage from range. So you'll see, the other thing that we do quite a lot during this video is that we try and take high ground. So you'll see that we're going left-hand side onto the Party Crasher ship itself, because it's got a lot of good cover. It allows you to kind of jiggle peek, use angles against your enemy. You'll also recognize that the enemy team tends to go to the opposite side quite often, but in this instance, they actually went for the medication. All 3 of them pushed exactly for the meds. I'm whiffing a couple of shots here. As I said, these first 2 rounds were not a spectacle, and that's okay. you'll notice that despite us having terrible first couple of rounds, we still managed to pull it back and get very high damage towards the end of the game. I'm already on 296 damage, and that's literally from me just kind of sitting back, doing some poke damage, you know, using my cover to be able to like peek around corners. So the key things I would say here that you'll notice we do, we take cover, we keep the high ground, and then when we need, we go for supplies. So you'll recognize that I realized I got hurt quite badly. We know that the enemy team have already pushed to the opposite side to get meds and supplies. Unfortunately, I get shot in the back there. Obviously, they must have recognized that that was my plan. But I come back, I've got a battery, I have a Phoenix kit, I've got a med kit. Again, I'm very fortunate not to go down there. I think I probably do go down in a minute. But being able to have medication at all times allows you to sit back and just get lots of damage in. So a couple more weapons that I'd recommend. I think the L-Star is very good early on because it outputs a lot of damage, doesn't need too many attachments, and you don't really need to reload, so you can just keep spam firing from a distance. The other weapon that I use a lot that I get tons of damage with is the R301. The R301 is probably, in terms of consistency and being able to control the recoil, the R301 is very precise. Like, you're never really going to struggle to do damage, providing you kind of just had some general recoil control and being able to pull down your mouse or being able to pull down your right analog. So always keep that in mind. Here you see, obviously, I'm not impressed with my first couple of rounds. So I'm actually just practicing my aim by going for headies. Meanwhile, Kusti thought it would be a good idea to punch Pro Lifeline into the corner. Oh, no, actually, I'm entirely incorrect. Huh. Oh, so at the end of that last round, you might not have noticed, but Lifeline died to the zone. I probably should have mentioned it. I probably should have called it out. But Lifeline died to the zone, and I just assumed it was because she'd underestimated where the zone was and wasn't able to get back in time. But she must have DC'd, because there was a little red indicator right at the start there. And now she's back, so that's great. So that gives us a better chance at winning. So again, like I say, the team's gone to the opposite side. Here I am again, sitting back, using cover, making it difficult. Head glitching. Head glitching is really valuable, like, for any new player wanting to slightly improve somewhat. You'll notice that I kind of sit further back on the Party Crasher ship. I don't go to the very edge, because that exposes my entire body for somebody just to be able to shoot me in the feet, to shoot me in the body, shoot me in the head. Whereas here, I'm using both cover, and I've got a bit of a head glitch going on. I should be crouching up and down a little bit more to accentuate that. But you'll notice this is good enough because I'm getting enough damage. I'm hitting people. So here, I think we start to up the ante. Like, again, it's okay. Miss a couple of shots. No big deal. Because I'm able to put enough pressure. My teammate Kusti has gone on a bit of a flank. So that's creating more angles and making it more difficult for them to be able to react. And then, Stern Piscines, he has somewhat questionable positioning at this point, because obviously they have high ground over him and he makes it himself quite an easy target to hit. But nevertheless, they're focused on my teammate on the right. So I think that I push up at this point. Yeah, I do. So I decide to push up because I recognize my teammate is in a lot of danger, but this also provides me an opportunity. As they push up here, there we go, I'm able to get a shot off. That's another 45 damage added to the tally. So I'm able to kind of apply enough pressure to stop them from pushing in. And now my zonal awareness kicks in because I recognize that I'm actually not anywhere near the zone. So I ping that for my teammates. So despite communication being really effective if you want to get high damage games, because you're able to tell your teammates and communicate effectively when you want to push in, when is the right time to aggress. In this scenario, obviously one of our teammates, Stern, does not have a microphone, and therefore using the ping system is just as good, providing that our teammates follow suit. So there we go, I get a crack on this enemy. I recognize that's now a 3v2 for us. Stern is healing, but obviously the Lifeline drone heals pretty quick nowadays. So I push in, I take advantage on him shooting my teammate, and I get the kill. We secure that round flawlessly. There we go, and this is just instrumental. It just keeps going from here. The cycle continues. So I think this is match point at this point for them, because obviously they'd won the first 2 rounds. So we're already on the back foot. So you'd imagine in this kind of scenario, we would be sitting back, panicking. But no, we keep at it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about legends, because there are obviously some optimal legends that I would advise using in this kind of scenario if you do want to get 4K badge. So my teammate plays Wattson. Wattson is not meta, for sure, but he is proof to the pudding that you can actually get high damage games using someone like Wattson if you play them slightly more aggressively. Granted, I don't know how much of his abilities he was actually using here. Whereas I've gone for a more conventional Octane, who is very meta because he's very fast. For one, he's able to engage and disengage very quickly and at very little cost to himself. Secondly, if you like, you can take a jump pad. So say you wanted to use an Eva 8. Say you know that the enemy team is sitting back using snipers, sorry. If you wanted to, you would be able to push in and actually just dive them and catch them with the element surprise. So my teammate said here a cracked one. It's nice to know, it's nice that he's providing that kind of, or they, sorry, are providing that kind of information. Nevertheless, it doesn't really favor us in this situation because we are on the opposite side. They're using the stairs to get that kind of head glitch on us. But again, we're just scoping them out. There's no need to rush. That's the thing. If you really want to go for high damage wins, what you want is, for one, to have the team that are against you not be too aggressive. Because if they're very aggressive, one team is going to instantaneously wipe the other team. So obviously then the game will probably be over in a matter of a couple of rounds. You want a team like this that's a little bit more passive, that are willing to soak a few more of your shots. And at this point it becomes a battle of attrition as to who can hit the cleaner shots, who can use the cover most effectively, who's willing to use abilities in a manner that allows them to take advantage of the scenario, such as high ground, who's willing to go and seek those supplies out that give them that healing boost that means that if they do get headshot, they can just sit back, heal up a little bit. So again here, I've recognized that we weren't in the best position. We were kind of on the edge of the zone, and because of that, as soon as we ran out, as you saw, I got pincered and I got shot to guacamole. I was going to say another word that I'm not allowed to, or that I shouldn't be saying. So I was going to get shot. So I pushed up anyway before all three focused their fire on me. That's another important thing, focus fire. As a team, you want to be alienating a certain person, like you'll see Kusti and my teammate just did then. I wasn't particularly instrumental because I was sitting back. But both of my teammates recognized that there was one person on low ground on their own. And here we are, I'm in a 1v1. You also want to be trying to take as many 1v1s as you can. It's really important. See, that on my behalf, I did really well to begin with, considering I was on low ground. But then as soon as I dropped off that bridge, I wasn't able to hit any headshots because he had the railing in front of him. So you always want to be thinking about your positioning and analyzing where is the most optimal spot to be outputting the most damage. So luckily, I got off with that one. I stayed at 1 HP because I knew we were 3v1 at this point. So I thought even if I go down, my teammates can trade. So he's just hiding in the corner, which is what I should have been doing. And then I get a nice easy kill because obviously he can't focus his attention in all three directions. So far, you see that the turnaround is starting to take place because we're implementing these strategies and communicating effectively as a team and actually just winning the battle of attrition, essentially. So obviously, I've got more supplies at my disposal now, so I start to think about taking grenades and stuff. I take batteries. So I'm characteristically, people might ask, do you need one or more weapons to do this with? And me, generally speaking, I've seen other pro players also only take one weapon in arenas. And I think sometimes that can be beneficial because I think sometimes having medication, such as batteries, such as shields, gold backpacks if you're lifeline, can be way more, can have way more of a role than actually just taking two weapons. Because sometimes using the Mozambique or just having the P2020 as a sidearm is enough to keep you, if you need to switch over and do 50 damage, that's more than enough. One Mozambique shot will do 45 damage. And on the topic of damage, so the reason I really like the Wingman, for one, it's stable across all ranges. Secondly, you can strafe a lot faster. If you're using the Wingman, it has the fastest strafe speed, I believe, of all of the weapons in Apex, or at least most of them. I'm not too sure, maybe the other pistols are comparable. But yeah, with the Wingman and the Mozambique, I think it is, you'll notice that you can strafe a lot faster than if you're using an assault rifle. The Spitfire could be an interesting one, because obviously the size of its extended clip. But the problem with the Spitfire is up close, because you're not able to strafe very fast, you're going to struggle to get that damage in before somebody who hip fires you does a lot more damage. So yeah, back to the damage. You'll notice that the Wingman's great. I've missed loads of shots. However, every shot you hit, body shot, is going to do 45 damage to the enemy, and that's quite substantial. You do 3 shots, and you're near enough downing somebody. And not only that, but like, you might be aiming for the body, and there's a lot of times you'll hit like a random headshot without even realizing you're doing it. Whereas like in that time, that person has put a whole clip out onto me, and they've probably only done like 20 to 30 damage. So it's definitely the way to go if you want to try and get 4k damage. I'd imagine it can be done with most weapons, barring, I'd say, snipers and shotguns, unless you have the slowest game. So here, I see that I'm separated from my teammates. I'm quite far from the pack. So I push up. Also, we need to think about moving towards the zone. Otherwise, they're just going to zone us out and hold angles. So here, we either try and get a couple of early shots onto them to do damage, or we just push up as a unit. And I think that's what we do. We push up as a unit. We close the ground and make it hard for them. I didn't recognize that person. It took me a while to see that they were there. I noticed that my teammate's getting peppered from this side, so I hit him the once, and I think I down him here. I think I get a couple of clean shots. Yeah, so that's another thing perhaps you should probably never do, is turn your back on an enemy that's shooting you. Sometimes it's better to trade than it is to just run away, because if you run away, you're basically conceding defeat. You're allowing that person to get a couple of free shots on you, whereas they could have done so much damage to me, and then one of their teammates might have hit me once and I'd have gone down, you know? Here, I think my teammate got rezzed. We all heal up, we get healthy. I see that there's one person running round, and oh, they try and go for the res themselves. 2 choices here. I either go for the lifeline straight away. She does trade with my teammate, but that's okay because I'm still there. I thought if I can at least kill the downed person, I allow my 2 teammates to have a better chance at finishing off that last lifeline. Whereas if I'd have gone for the lifeline and whiffed a few shots, that other person would have been up. They'd be shooting me in the back, shooting my teammate in the side, and it would have completely changed the ball game. It would have made it completely different. So brilliant. So at this point, yeah, I think it's match point again for us. How far am I through? Yeah, we've literally, this game goes on for a long time. This is a big win. So obviously, like I was saying, it's really crucial that, like, sometimes okay, this maybe is a bad suggestion, but sometimes it can be worth it if you know you're on for a high damage game. Like, maybe it's a little bit scummy, perhaps you might not want to do it. You could throw rounds. I would recommend not doing that because that's not fair on, like, random teammates. Maybe if you're 3 stacked and you really, really want to try and get that 4k damage badge, or you really want to get a high damage game and you know you're on course for it, you could suggest it to your teammates and they'd probably be cool with it, right? But if you're playing with a random, it's always better to try and go for the win. Because at the end of the day, like, that's what you're there. You're there to compete and win games, not necessarily get damage. Because damage is not an indicator of skill as much as winning a game is. Because that's the other thing. You could do 4k damage and only end up with, like, a kill. Which isn't like, I'm not to discredit that person for their hard work, but I would rather get, like, 10 kills, get okay damage, and know that I've had an influence on my team's ability to win that game and actually push on through the rounds without just maybe sitting back, sniping. I've had big games where I've just sat back, sniped, and we literally have had enemies at 1 HP, and rather than push in, we've just sat back and kept doing more damage, and we go on to lose that game, which is always a bit disappointing. So in this scenario, like I was saying, the good thing is I'm able to pick up grenades, and there we have it. I hit one person with a stray thermite, and this gives me the onus to be able to climb up to the high ground and then actually compete with them. So here I am just scouting. I'm just having a quick look around, seeing where they are. Okay, someone peeks. Nothing too much. At this point, they're kind of a little bit more hesitant, as am I, because I don't know where the other 2 enemies are at. So again, he's there. I take a different angle. I hit the one further back because he stood very open. He's given a bit too much of himself for me to shoot, making himself like an easy target. Our teammate gets a little bit careless here. Yeah, unfortunately. Wow, I whiffed shots. Whoa, Jesus. Run away, Axon, run away. Jordan, what are you doing, my friend? But yeah, our teammate should probably not have pushed in there, but that's what you're going to get when you queue with randoms, you know? I actually hit really nice shots. So I communicate this to my teammate, who does, in fact, down the Bloodhound. Because when I was in Discord as well, so in Discord, I told him, yo, listen, this is how it is. You need to push him, please. And he does. Fair play to him. But obviously, they have 2 more. So again, stalemate, tiebreaker. So I think we've played 6 rounds at this point. you're going to see the habit. I'm not going to be switching away from the wingman. I wish I was able to have a more varied game where I maybe took the vault for one round. Because I'll tell you, as a rule, I normally start off with the RE45 because I feel like it does consistent damage, it's constantly outputting damage, and it's got okay range. After that, I switch over to the vault if we haven't won the round. If we have won the round, I'll always go for the R301. Bare bones, just basic. Literally, level 1 attachments is good enough. Providing you have a general sense or a basic sense of recoil control, R301 is always going to be good. So here, where are we going? We decide to go left this time. They like to go left. Straight off the bat, boom, nice little headshot. Sneaky, they go for the meds, so that's good on their part, obviously, because then we now are in a disadvantaged position because we only have shield cells, maybe 1 or 2 bats, and we're already losing this war. We're losing the war, but it's okay. We recognize that, we fall back as a team, and then we re-strategize how we're going to push up. My teammate takes the low ground, and then the both of us go up top. That's the thing, you'll notice we're constantly moving. We're constantly re-engaging the team from different angles to give us the element of surprise. What you never want to be doing is staying in the same angle unless you know that you're going to down somebody from that position. There we go, see? That person had no clue that I was on those stairs, and because of that, they run into the open and give me free shots. Again, I think, I'm always evaluating to go to the high ground. For me, it's the single most important thing to do, especially in arenas. Because, like, obviously, when you're playing the BR, you can third party from any kind of angle. There's so much open space that high ground is not as well sheltered. It doesn't have as much cover around you. Whereas in arenas, every bit of cover is strategically placed. Like here, the right angle peak as well. So there's so many things, so many factors that you need to be constantly thinking of that I just naturally do because it's become innate at this point. You know, it's like muscle memory. Whereas for a lot of people, they might not recognize these cues. So you'll notice back then, I was using the right angle peak. I tend not to peek left too much because if you peek left, you're giving up a more substantial area of your body for them to see. But when you peek right, obviously your camera, your gun is aligned on the right, and because of that, you have to like peek a lot less out. So you're only giving up a smaller proportion of your body to for the enemy to see. So we're back onto match point. Here we go again. I'm guessing I think we may do win on this round. We'll see. We'll see how things go down. So at this point, I've got so much money because I'm only taking the one weapon that in reality, if I wasn't doing a wingman only challenge, I would most likely just be trying to, I'd mostly likely just stick with kind of a secondary weapon like an alternator. I'd maybe take an Eva 8 just to finish people off. Yeah, back to Legends. Like, if you look at their team, they've got a very good comp. They've probably got the most meta comp for arenas. You've got Lifeline, who's able to res. She's able to drop a healing drone. Healing is really important. Resing someone is probably even more important. You have Bloodhound, who's consistently able to scan, so he constantly has information on your whereabouts, which, if there's only 3 avenues, it helps a lot to, like, single out people and push them when you need. And then Octane, like I said, he's able just to engage with the jump pad. He's fast, so he's unpredictable. I think that's his biggest thing. So obviously I throw a couple grenades. Not only does that, obviously I didn't hit with any of those grenades, but it puts pressure on the team. It's forced them back into a position where they're now even further back on the low ground. That guy's stuck behind a box. Like, for me, that arc start pushes him out of cover. Unluckily for me, their other teammate pushes up onto the high ground and actually catches me off guard, which is really good play from them. But yeah, I think little things like grenades, sometimes you think, oh, it's not worth taking because if you don't hit with it, it's a waste of a lot of your supplies. But it's always having an influence. Because like here, in the same case as the care package, imagine if you use that effectively for cover, you're actually able to use that smoke to kind of like mirage yourself and hide yourself from your opponents. So then, okay, the enemies, again, I hit a really nice shot. I'm not giving that person any breathing room. They've got the zone on their butt, and they've got me kind of breathing down on them constantly. Oh, that one's still up. He's still up there. Okay, Octane hit him twice. He hits me twice. We go tooth and nail at that point. I pop a bat. Try not to ever let your health get below half. You always want to heal when you get the opportunity, unless a team is pushing you and you know it's worth just doing a bit of damage. I see his gun poking out there, but I can't really do much about it. I'm like, dude, step forward, please. Just one more cornetto. Oh, there we go. He's one shot. Oh, Jordan. He was one shot, dude. It's always situations like that. I'll get somebody's one shot and I panic and I miss my last shot. Okay, lifeline, shooting her in the back. This should be easy. She actually goes for the res, which, I don't know. Does he die to the zone here? You'd imagine he probably does. Oh, he doesn't actually down him. But he probably would have gone down there anyway. And then it's just Bloodhound, which I hit the juiciest flick to win the game. So GG's. Yeah, there we go. So at the end here, you're going to see actually how much damage we do. My teammate is obviously pretty happy at this point too, because he's sheeshing. He's got a big sheesh on. It's your sheesh on. Sheesh. Sorry, it's an addiction. Once I hear one person do it, I just can't resist to do it myself. So yeah, all round, I think all three of us played very well. My teammate did better than me, actually. So my teammate got 3.8k damage. So he was the facilitator, and I got 3.4k damage, and I got 9 kills. So as you see, it is doable. I'm not the best player. I would call myself a potentially mediocre player. Okay, maybe not mediocre. I'd say I'm perhaps above average. I can hit my shots from time to time, and I think I'm very good at knowing when to gauge how to push teams and when to actually seal the deal on a round. That's where I thrive. My teammate says this a lot himself. His forte is hitting shots. He's got great aim. His aim is like sublime, but he struggles to know when to actually capitalize on that, whereas I tend to have a little bit more intuition and kind of general game sense to be able to push in. So there we have it, guys. I don't want to bore you any longer. It's already going to be quite a long video. Yeah, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching. I hope that gave you some insight into a player's mind. Not necessarily, I'm not a pro player. I don't claim to be. I play the game a lot. I really enjoy trying to improve myself. And I hope that some of these little factors that you notice throughout the video can also help you to improve. So if you had any takeaways from this, please, I would be really happy, and it would help me boost me in the algorithm as well if you were kind enough just to drop a little like, maybe if you enjoyed it, maybe a sub, and then a comment. Let me know down below if you guys have ever hit 4K yourselves and what weapons you used in the arenas, whether it was arenas, maybe it was the BR mode. Let me know how you guys plan on hitting 4K, or what's the best highest kill game you've had, what's the most damage you've ever done. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and